Oh, hi there. Welcome to I Alone. No, this is Tarot Land Soap Opera. I have another channel called I Alone Fly Tarot, but on this channel, we always do two rows. And I'm going to do a reading for Capricorn energy in the top row. I'll refer to as a high vibe Capricorn energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Capricorn energy, because we all have free will and we have to make decisions in our life. And the top row could, for the people who are kind of debating within themselves, the top row could represent kind of some things that they would like to do in their life, but the bottom row can kind of represent their comfort zone or what's currently going on in their life. And if we were to move forward in life differently, maybe there'd be certain people or friendships or jobs that we wouldn't stay in anymore, or we wouldn't hang out with certain people. So, or we'd have to move. Who knows? The Knight of Wands was the first card out that fell on the floor. So maybe the Knight of Wands can also talk about communication, or it can also be about being immature. So, if we were going to move forward in life a little differently, high vibe energy is about kind of being more independent of your shadowy nature, which can be your kind of more immature nature. And with the Temperance card flying on the floor, actually the next card went on the floor too, I think. The Queen of Cups. Well, the Queen of Cups can talk about, there can be some things that we enjoy doing, and there can be people that we love. But if it kind of keeps us repeating an old pattern or indulging poor behavior in ourselves or poor behavior in others, or people aren't communicating with us, we have high vibe energies about dealing with the truth of the situation and not staying in like denial of the truth or living in illusion. And so then we come out with the Page of Pentacles, which is kind of seeing the truth. There's some things in my life that either I don't want to take action towards, can't take action towards, other people maybe aren't, that I would like to have take action towards me aren't. And so we deal with the truth of it. And high vibe, the pentacle is like truth and love. And we look to the future. We take the lessons we learn from that life experience. We keep believing in ourselves, keep believing in our dreams, and we keep moving forward. And then we have, kind of looks like a queen card, but no, the Two of Swords. We've maybe learned in high vibe, the Two of Swords is about listening to your intuition, seeing the truth. We could have communicated our truth in the One Sword, and then there was no communication back, no action taken. And in the Two of Swords, we listened to our intuition about the truth of the situation. And then in the Six of Swords, we move forward in life. And that's about believing in our dreams. And from the Two to the Six of Swords is the Four of Swords, which is talking about healing. And for a while, we could stay stuck. And sometimes we detach from certain things or certain people or certain habits. And then we might take time to sit and listen to our intuition. And we might wait to see, being patient in a way, but maintaining balance within ourselves. And then as time goes by, again, kind of dealing with the truth, we move forward in life. And then we have the Page of Wands, which is being inspired based on the lessons we've learned, to still be inspired by the dreams that we have, to keep moving forward. And the reason for the reading in the top row is also the reason why the reading came out. And we could harness our fire sign energy differently. And we might have learned some more lessons in life than some other people, because High Vibe Emperor is about kind of making good decisions in your life, learning from past experiences, learning to listen to your intuition, continue to believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, look at life from a higher perspective, keep life in perspective instead of getting all caught up in your head. Again, kind of not indulging yourself or trying to control things or thinking you can change other people or control other people. Everyone else has their free will and they have their life and kind of what drives and motivates them. And you keep moving forward in your truth. And High Vibe Emperor is also um, being authentically who you say you are and emotionally operating from truth, love, justice, fairness, character, and integrity, and walking the talk. You have your truth, you have your philosophy of life, you have your ideas of what is just and fair. Other people have their ideas of what is just and fair. Some people are looking for people to kind of indulge them in a relationship. Some people are looking, whether they're male or female, they can be looking for people to kind of like indulge them in a way like a parent would a child or a more immature person, just whatever degree it is. And it's maybe, that can be their idea of what they think a just and fair relationship is, that you should be the more loving, nurturing person, and I should be able to be more immature. And then you should indulge me and let's stay in that kind of relationship dynamic. And some people are like, I'm done. I've kind of seen the truth that that kind of relationship makes me feel stuck. Your truth is different than my truth. What you think is just as fair and your idea of the dream life and dream relationship is different than mine. And I'm inspired to listen to my intuition and my truth. And also the Emperor energy typically, and let's see about in this picture. Well, this one's kind of, I guess maybe the word's androgynous, but typically the Emperor is represented as a masculine figure. And the masculine figure in High Vibe, which we all, when we go present ourselves in the world, is considered masculine energy because nobody really knows how we think and feel. And the feminine figures can represent how we think and feel. And pretty much all of these here are feminine figures. In this picture of moving forward, that's when we, in our own masculine energy, whether we're male or female, it's kind of our more worldly nature, we need to stand up for our truth and our dreams and our more emotionally intuitive loving nature. And there could be other people who didn't want us to do that, because the Queen of Cups can represent anyone in our life who we could have had love for, that they could have had love for us, but they wanted to maybe stop us from being inspired to believe in ourselves, believe in our dreams. The Queen of Cups can talk about people, male or female, where they kind of like to repeat this certain pattern of a way of a relationship. Let's do this. Let's keep repeating this pattern. Let's not do something new. Because in order to do the one pentacle, you kind of have to become independent of an old foundation, an old way of viewing life, an old way of living life, become more independent from your shadow nature, your codependent nature, your lust or greed, your pride, your ego. Shedding a layer of yourself. And that can also be being more independent of the world, being more independent from a family group or a friend group, you know, to be more independent in the world, motivated and inspired that my truth can be a little different than their truth. And they might not, friends and family, might not have the same dreams or aspirations that I do, and that's fine. Can't we still be loving and encouraging and supportive of each other? And a lot of people are. You do you. Go. I'm going to do me. But it can be more challenging if it's maybe a long term friendship or it is a romantic relationship, because then we were kind of hoping we were kind of on the same page and kind of motivated and inspired by the same things. And maybe some people right now could have gotten out of one relationship, getting in a new relationship. And maybe some of those people eventually you might move away from because maybe they haven't healed. Between the 2 and the 6 is the 4 of swords. We can always get in relationships with new people, and then or friendships. And again, kind of what motivates and inspires us, how we view life, because the Six of Swords and Aquarius energy can be, are we kind of more caught up in the world, or are we kind of, or ourself, or are we, do we look at life from a higher perspective, that there's more to life than just making life about ourself and our ego and our image and our status and money and stability, security, that really inspired to do it all from love and believe there's a higher truth and justice to aspire to and a higher purpose for just being on this planet. And some people don't. Can they be kind of, just and fair and loving people? Want to be in relationships with people? Yeah, but it just might be and motivated by love, but you know, it's still a little bit more about being in a relationship where it's more for being in a relationship or for the status or the image, and they just kind of haven't kind of seen through the illusion. Oops, I got an alarm on my phone. Or maybe being more about themselves a little bit, and maybe not inspired to, high vibe energy again is about being independent, but also kind of being a good leader in the world. And the Two of Swords can talk about people who can't make a decision. The Emperor makes decisions, and some people are better at making decisions than other people. It's like maybe because some of the people in the Two of Swords, again, they can't decide, like, well, I don't know. And other people kind of more have a little more hope and faith and belief in themselves, listen to their intuition, and kind of fire sign energy, being bold and brave enough to listen to their intuition and believe in themselves. And some other people aren't there yet, still like, oh, I don't know if I should listen to my intuition or not. And, you know, and there's going to be other people who do move forward with you in that way. And, we all kind of like to hang out with people who can make decisions in their life, look at life maybe from a higher perspective. If you do, not maybe as caught up, maybe sometimes we can have people in our life too who and could pop up in our life that as we're moving forward in the Two of Swords, we have to make decisions. Should I go this way or should I go that way? Should I befriend this person or that person? Should I date this person or that person? And so that can be kind of being at the crossroads. And even as we start out kind of moving forward in life differently, we haven't looked at the bottom row to necessarily know what could have gone on in the past. And some people are thinking they've kind of are thinking about a new beginning, but they're still at that stage of maybe just getting balance within themselves, because the Two of Swords is Libra energy represented by the scales of justice. We can get out of certain situations, but part of that new beginning is to kind of feel more balance within ourselves. And the Page of Pentacles is Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo energy, which can talk about feeling more stable and grounded within ourselves. But if there's people in your life that wanted you to be more codependent on them, not listen to your intuition, move forward with them, but wanted you to maybe stay in more codependent energy, because that can, kind of shadowy Emperor can be anyone in our life, male or female, who kind of wants us to follow their lead, but we might feel like, I don't think you listen to your intuition. Or I think you're kind of more about, I think your truth of why you want to do it, again, might be a little bit more for the status or the image, looking like a shining star in the world, power, influence. And I think that's more what drives and motivates you. And I don't really think it's truth and love. So And still, as you're moving forward, maybe meeting new people, could the Page of Pentacles can represent that you're going out there in the world, if that's to get to know new people, having some kind of new beginning of some sort, relationship, career, whatever. um the Page of Pentacles can be small gestures to people in the 3D world. The Pentacles talk about the 3D world. You are communicating in some way to people, kind of, this is my truth. This is how I want to move forward. This is how I am moving forward. Do you want to move forward with me in that way or not? Basically, can we get along in a just and fair way? Do we kind of have that same viewpoint in relationship to work together cooperatively in a just and fair way? Being inspired to, you know, fire sign energy, being inspired to want to do that. And some people you'll meet, they'll be like, uh, I don't know, you know, and sometimes some people are moving forward in a little more bold, brave, confident way, a little more inspired to listen to their intuition. Other people could be a little more practical and grounded, and it's like, oh wow, you're a little more bold and brave and confident than I am, and oh, I don't know that I'm there yet, and and so some of the people, again, you kind of might move away from. They can still be people in your life that you like, but you're not going to let it keep you stuck, is what the Two of Swords can also mean. Would I like some of these people to move forward with me and work with me more cooperatively? Yeah, but if they're not, and from the 2 to the 6 is the 4, you might have taken some time to see how things went. But then it is kind of being inspired and in your intuition that, I'm going to keep moving forward in my way of moving forward. And if you ever decide to, at some future point in time, want to communicate with me or work together with me more cooperatively, um, have a little more hope and faith and belief in yourself, or decide, you do that. In the meantime, I'm going to keep moving forward with the people in my life who are inspired to move forward with me in that way. So, for some, you particularly could be making an offer to a Libra, or just someone who you think harnesses high vibe Libra energy, regardless of what zodiac sign they are, um, because you view them as a just and fair people. Some of the people you could have already met or in your life right now, or possibly a little bit in your past, or could have been a long time in your past. Who knows? Um, there could have been some people that you did view as someone you wanted to dream to come into reality, but maybe during the course of the relationship or the friendship or the workplace, um, and getting to know each other, and kind of these things of realizing that kind of how we plan to move forward, or our truth, or kind of what drives and motivates us is different, or they kept being stuck, or they hadn't healed. You moved on, and you're looking for people who, in their fire sign energy in the Page of Wands, that can represent all 3 of the fire sign energies of Aries and Sagittarius and Leo. Just people who are more inspired to go on this adventure in life, to learn lessons in life, to face their fears, to be maybe more authentic and warm or loving. The 2 of Swords and the 6 of Swords is Aquarius energy, air sign energy, which anyone, regardless of what zodiac sign they are, but they could prefer to kind of live a little more from their mind than their heart, and maybe not as inspired to kind of have hope and faith and belief in themselves and in others and in love. And, you know, and you're looking for some people who are, and you could be moving forward with some people who are. But you're definitely moving forward, putting in work and effort, kind of standing up for yourself, because this card has the masculine, the feminine, and the child. We all have our inner child, hopeful nature of hope and faith and belief in our dreams. And the 6 of Swords, being Aquarius energy, can talk about our dreams. That Once I feel more balanced and stable within my life and I feel like I've healed and I know I don't want to repeat some poor patterns. I know I don't want to be in a relationship that's maybe a more mismatched relationship with a queen versus a knight. Because in tarot, we have the pages, the knights, the kings, the queen, the emperor, the empress, the high priestess, and the hierophant. You've kind of healed and grown and matured yourself and learned to love yourself, because the counterpart to the emperor and being an emperor energy is that you are empress energy, which in your own Libra Taurus energy of yourself, you have put in the work and effort to be balanced within yourself from a place of love for your own creative, inspired, loving nature to stand up for yourself and what you believe in. And you're looking to work with other people who are in that energy. So, and there's some people as you're moving forward who might want to come with. You could get to know those people. You're going to listen to your intuition, who seems to be balanced, who seems to have healed. And those are the people, you know, I would really be willing to move forward with. Um, who are the people who I think really haven't healed and are maybe just feeling stuck and they want to move forward with me because they could have a new beginning. Maybe it would look good for their ego or their image or their status. Maybe wanting to kind of more indulge themselves in a relationship for reasons other than being more just, fair, mature. And I think you'll listen to your intuition about who's who and you'll move forward with the people who you think are being truthful and honest and more mature, and move away from the people who you think still don't get it, right? So let's go look at the bottom row. The reason for the bottom row's reading is the Queen of Pentacles, and that's the reason why the reading came out. So the Queen of Pentacles can represent all these different things in the world. I view it as Taurus energy, you know, families, all these different organizations in the world, families, workplaces. The King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married through the deck. Some of you could have been married, met someone you thought you wanted to marry, but then as time went by, you kind of realized maybe you weren't on the same path. And it can represent people in our life who we had viewed and they could have been kind of loving, nurturing, supportive, encouraging people in our life, male or female, emotionally. We could have viewed them and they could have been kind of emotionally mature, stable, grounding people in our life. But sometimes we were, whether we kind of knew it or not, a little bit more maybe and for some, if it's like a parental figure or a supportive, encouraging person in our life, it was kind of a more codependent relationship because they were playing that role in our life as like a mentor or like a parent. But then it is time to go on our own and we kind of become independent of that foundation to start listening to our own intuition and start investing in our own dreams and going on our own journey in life. But for other people, um, there could have been friendships and relationships or workplaces or whatever where you worked at, and maybe there was something about it that kind of maybe had you feeling stuck and you didn't feel like maybe your dream could come into reality there, or it lacked, you know, shadowy Taurus energy and shadowy kind of pentacle energy can be where it lacks that spark of creativity and passion and inspiration. Might it seem very stable and grounded and abundant in a lot of ways? Yeah, but it doesn't. Just people who aren't aligned and kind of fired up to I don't know, just be, again, it can be a little more caught up in the status quo, a little bit more in, isn't this how we should live our life? And this seems good, and you should stay at this job, or you should stay in this friendship or this relationship. But the bottom row can kind of represent where it feels like we're never doing anything new. It can be where it stays stagnant. And some people, they're happy living their life like that. And they don't want to step out of their comfort zone, and they don't want to do anything different. And they never dreamed of doing anything different. They never dreamed of living their life any differently than the way they are living their life. And for them, um, that could make them feel very balanced within themselves. And to move outside their comfort zone, that can be scary because that's unknown territory. And if you step outside your comfort zone, you do have to be more bold and brave and confident. And you have to kind of listen to love and intuition to guide you because you've never been there before. You don't know how to do it. And some people really like to stay in their comfort zone because that feels safe and secure. And, we're all at different places on this journey of life. And sometimes we were the one who didn't want to step out of our comfort zone and other people kind of moved on. It's like, oh, wow, yeah, no, I wouldn't dare do that. And then maybe 4 years later, we are ready to be willing to do that. It's all kind of, we all have to listen to our own intuition. If people were to try to shove us out, on the stage of our life when we're not ready for it, you could cry and have a nervous breakdown or something like that. At one point in time, could we get there and be ready for that? Yeah, but for people to, we can't kind of force people before they're ready. And some people aren't ready. And sometimes we can get in friendships and relationships with people and they think they're ready and then they find out they're not, right? Or as you move forward with people, you kind of realize, wait a minute, they're going to let you move on because they could also feel like your truth is different than their truth. And you in turn are going to let them move on and, take this time to kind of recalibrate and heal. And then we move forward in our own way, in our truth, being a little bit more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And they move on with their life, kind of in what they're motivated and inspired by, and we move forward in ours. You also might know that some people are a little bit more worldly, egoic focused, but even if people are more about themselves, more about the world, more about the status, the ego, or the image, of course, they're not broadcasting that to everyone. And so, even though that really is the truth of what drives and motivates them, they can try to present themselves as a more high vibrational person motivated and inspired by love. But then as you move forward in a relationship, you kind of realize they're kind of wearing a false mask. The masculine cards can represent that people are kind of operating more from their ego, whether they're male or female, but they're trying to present themselves as a more emotionally mature, stable, grounded person than they are. They might have status, they might have image, they might have money, they might be attracted, they might be charming, or they just have a very good false mask. And they might have a very good status or image. So people view them as being more emotionally mature than they really are. And then you get in a relationship with them, and somewhere along the way, you can kind of realize that I don't think you're really motivated and inspired more by truth and love. I don't think you have hope and faith really in love as the guiding factor in your life. I think you're a little bit more about wanting to be in these friendships and relationships more for how it benefits you, but not kind of living more from their mind than their heart. So down here we have the Three of Pentacles, Transformation, the Ace of Wands, and the Knight of Swords. So I think initially in our fire sign energy of ourself, we grow up in the world, and Taurus energy and of course Capricorn energy, really kind of represent the world, and we grow up in the world and the world tells us that we should make our life about all these things. And if we make our life about all these things and we go indulge in these things and we make our life about this and that and blah, 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 and look a certain way and act a certain way and dress a certain way and got a certain amount of money or hang out with these kind of people versus those kind of people, oh, we'll be happy. So, Taurus energy can talk about the philosophy of life that we have. And our philosophy over time changes, right? I mean, the way we used to live life and what we thought was just and fair at 18 and 21 and 25 is different than what we can think is just and fair, and how we act and behave and conduct ourselves and, when we're older, right? But some people can be the age that we are or older than us. I mean, we've probably all been out in the workforce and out in the community, and you can definitely meet some older people, and they're acting like junior high people, being petty and manipulative and backstabbing and gossipy and bullies and just really immature. So just because people are older or the same age as you or have a certain status or position in life doesn't mean they're an emotionally mature person. Emotionally, they could have this status image and all those things, but internally, they could be quite immature and codependent. And shadowy energy of fire sign energy, which the Ace of Pentacles can represent all of those, in their Sagittarius, their Aries, and their Leo, which we don't have on the table yet. Um, they can just be a little bit more about, they indulge their kind of more immature worldly nature or egoic nature, can be a little bit more manipulative. Again, you're being manipulative if you're just creating an illusion about the truth of being more emotionally mature than you are, and trying to manipulate people to get them to view them a certain way, and maybe more petty, envious, jealous, full of themselves, right? So, we can all get in relationships or start a new job, the Three of Pentacles in Capricorn energy, that we're working together with other people. And we could all, the bottom row can represent some fears and insecurities we have. We can get in relationships, and everybody can have some fears about, is this going to work out with the transformation card? Are things going to move forward? Do we kind of view things the same way? Is this job, friendship, or relationship going to emotionally grow and mature itself? Is this going to, the King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married through the deck. Is this going to move forward and emotionally grow and mature itself in maybe a more formal commitment, or where I get to work at a place of employment and, maybe be patient while I'm learning things so that, you know, I can kind of come into my own and start to feel comfortable in it, where I'm able to really kind of shine in that workplace environment, or even just feel comfortable, in a friendship group where I just feel like I can maybe be more authentically myself. And we can all want to have these new beginnings, but we can have these new beginnings, but then again, some people create the illusion, oh yeah, your truth is my truth. Oh yeah, what you're motivated and inspires by what I'm motivated and inspired by too. But then as time goes by, one person in the Knight of Swords is defensive of either um letting you shine, letting you grow and mature yourself, kind of maybe in a workplace or something, or um maybe you get in something and then maybe some other people don't like that, maybe you are starting to come into your own, and some other people that might be more established in it. And that can happen in relationships too, because they could have friends and family in their life that have been in their life much longer than you, and then those people kind of don't like that maybe the people are kind of becoming more independent of them and, kind of moving forward with you. And same thing can happen in workplaces. Like, well, I've been here and, those people seem to be inspired by that person and like that person. And then I feel defensive because maybe those people didn't really align with me. Well, maybe those people, if you were to look at this in shadowy energy, shadowy Taurus can be where people are a little stubborn, inflexible, a little rigid, not very inspiring. They might have a lot of knowledge, it might have a lot of experience, and they can maybe work together with people to a degree, but trying to think of what this, wonder if this, ah, the transformation card in this deck is the Tower card. So the Tower card can be that, some people can have all these things or certain status or image in a workplace or a family environment, but they never want to let go of maybe being more practical, more grounded, and kind of be willing to detach from that, because that's what the Tower card can talk about, to taking more creative, inspired action. And in high vibe, the Knight of Swords would be kind of more in truth and love, a little more emotionally nurturing and supportive and encouraging. You can be in friendships and relationships or know people that are very stable and grounded and you can work together with them, but I don't know, they never let their more lighthearted nature really come out to play. And then sometimes they don't really, again, shadowy energy can kind of being in our ego and our competitive energy and our defensive energy. And then they cannot like it when other people are more inspired within themselves and with other people to be more inspired by truth and love, because that's not how they like to live their life. The whole thing is, everybody we do get in relationship with, not all of them work out the way we want. Some of them are very, the Tower card can be that it's very disruptive to our life. We could have even been in things that we thought were very just and fair, and then something happens that is very, like, oh my gosh, like your best friend leaves town and moves far away, or um, something that can be really disruptive in our life, or maybe someone, you can be in a relationship, but then someone does something that's really shocking, and it can reveal that they're more immature and defensive, or more about themselves, or more materialistic, or even seeing the truth why they want to move forward with you in a friendship or relationship, or that they don't want to move forward with you in a friendship or relationship anymore. Either way, it can really be shocking, and that's where people can kind of feel stuck, and then they need to take this time to heal, because I don't want to keep staying. The Tower can talk about how it kind of disrupts your foundation and maybe your sense of stability and security and safety. And so then we need to take that time in the face of it to invest in kind of taking over that role within ourselves. And it can be even more challenging when it was someone that we really viewed as a more loving, nurturing person in our life, or that we wanted to marry or did marry, or a job that we suddenly could have lost. And you know there's a lot of ways that we can kind of be codependent on people, right? And things. And so then we have to take over that role within ourselves. I could stay defensive, and I could keep um kind of indulging shadowy energy, being our ego, and the fire sign energy can represent Leo energy of our ego, and keep being defensive. To me, taking over that role within myself to invest in myself. And that's like learning to love yourself, because I think a lot of us can go out in the world, we don't think it at the time, but we grew up in families where people did provide stability and security and were maybe loving and nurturing to whatever degree they were. And then we kind of go out in the world and we're looking for other people to love and nurture us. And just even saying that now, we can kind of see where it's a little self, and Aries energy is about the self. It's about being a little more self focused. I want to be in a relationship with me. I want like justice in the world. I want my dreams to come into reality. I want to be in friendships and relationships and have a job. But what are we, again, and some people to different degrees, that definitely is how they view life, and that is their truth. I don't have to learn to love myself. I don't have to learn to take over that role. I'm looking to get in a relationship for someone to take over that role. You are supposed to be the loving, nurturing, supportive, encouraging person in my life. I don't ever have to learn to do that within myself. Well, then they're very codependent in a relationship. And then they can have a lot of fear of, because the truth sets us free. The Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords, and the Five of Swords, the five, the six, and the seven are all Aquarius energy of I have a way of looking at life and I have a dream. That initially in our Five of Swords energy, we could have, I have this dream. But then, and we can go out in the world, and then, we just have lessons learned and we kind of realize, oh, wait, I need to tweak that dream. I guess I did want someone to love me, and I also, though, wanted to love other people. But I've come across some people where they don't look at life from that perspective. They do think it should kind of be shadowy energies where it's kind of tilted in favor of being more about the world or more about that other person. And it's not more balanced. And we have to learn going out in the world that not everybody's motivated and inspired by love. Not everybody's inspired to put in work and effort to keep things in perspective. And they could really get up in their head. They could really get up in their fear. They can really get up in their defensiveness. They could be very unstable. They could be very immature. Uh, they could want to be in relationships with people for more codependent reasons. Some of them are full of themselves. I do have a certain status and image. You should want to be in a relationship with me. And you should stay in a relationship with me because of the status or the ego or the image or the power or my attractiveness or whatever. And other people are like, well, that's how you view relationships and that's what you think is just and fair. You think you should be defensive to emotionally growing and maturing yourself, or more authentically emotionally investing in the relationship. You kind of want to just kind of indulge yourself in the relationship, not really interested in healing their own foundation, because that takes work and effort. You have to be willing to work through your mental conflict of things that make you feel unstable, ungrounded, regardless of what you look like or how much money, status, or power or whatever you've got. You know, we're the only one who can do that. We can get in relationships with people who are loving and encouraging and supportive, but then we ourselves have to be willing to do that work within ourselves. And for some people, that is not their truth. No, that is not how I view life. That is not my perspective. It's like I refuse. There's things within me that might be not conducive to a relationship moving forward in a more just, fair, authentic, loving way, or them making better decisions in their life. And because some people, they don't want to emotionally grow up and mature themselves. Because again, you have to invest time, energy, and effort to emotionally grow up and mature yourself. And you have to say no to your more immature nature. And some people are like, I could do this or I could do that. I'm going to keep doing this. And typically, Oh, actually, this is the Four of Pentacles, which is Capricorn energy. But the difference between the Three of Pentacles to the Four of Pentacles is seeing the truth. And it's implying emotionally growing and maturing yourself. And people can be defensive to that. I don't have to grow up and heal and mature myself and don't want to be in relationships with people who require that of them. And eventually people who are in friendship and relationship or coworkers with them kind of see the truth of it. And those people are like, I wish you peace. I wasn't maybe seeing the truth before, which is what the Two of Swords can talk about, but now I do. And I see you're kind of, I saw the truth of the foundation that you operate from. And it can be a variety of these different things that I kind of talked about. And it's like, yep, no, you view life a little differently than me. I could view you as being kind of more immature. And in High Vibe, the pages talk about, and especially the Page of Pentacles, is about willing to be a student of life. You have to get out of your ego, your defensiveness, to be willing to learn lessons in life, to face your fears, to listen to your intuition, believe in yourself, believe you can, and then be inspired to even want to kind of go to that next phase of life, to quit kind of giving up on taking more creative inspired action in your life. But some people always give up, and they'll keep doing that until, sometimes people being defensive to us and people distancing themselves from us, that can be a big motivator in people's life. And maybe for a long time people were able to hide that they were more immature, unstable, defensive, materialistic, full of themselves, because people can wear a good false mask. But, it's the people who kind of get in more involved relationships with them that, and their family could know them, but, you know, that's kind of a different relationship dynamic, and they might not reveal the truth of, because it's not anybody else's business, but then other people get in relationship with them, and those people are like, oh my gosh, you people weren't telling the truth. You knew this person, but that's a conundrum, right? If you have a family member that is kind of maybe immature or self-centered or narcissistic, and then they meet other people and you're like, eek, careful. Listen to your intuition. They're not who they present themselves as being, but they're in my family, so maybe I feel like I can't tell people. What's coming up for people who aren't some high vibe Capricorn? They were willing to grow up. They were willing to put in the work and effort to transform their life, to stand up for themselves, to grow up and mature themselves, offer truth and love to other people to move forward with them if they wanted to move forward with them in a more just and fair way, in truth and love. And some of those people are like, nope, you can go. I'll go find someone else who maybe doesn't know the truth about me yet. And I'll go try to manipulate that person and wear my false mask with that person. And you might know some people that you feel right now are moving forward in some relationships, creating the illusion. Well, it's kind of like God uses everybody for God's good purposes. If we have free will in the world and we've got some lessons to learn, we could have come in contact with some people. We did learn the lesson. We moved on. Well, there's other people that are going to get in a relationship with that person because that person needs to learn that lesson also. Because the whole thing is, God does want us to get our divine inheritance, but we can't be naive. We've got to realize the truth that not everybody out there is who they present themselves as being. And we also have to learn to listen more to our intuition, because kind of our pride and ego and our want for these things of the world and kind of leaning more in favor and driven and motivated by those things could make it all blow up in our face, right? So, to listen to our intuition, maintain balance within ourselves, stand up for ourselves, speak our truth, know our worth and value. And when we see people are being kind of immature or whatever, it's like, hey, if that's what you think is just and fair, I wish you peace, but I'm moving on. I'm not doing that. And if that's not your truth, then, you know, let's part ways now. What's coming up for the high vibe people they might not see coming? A card not showing itself, and the reason it came out is because of the Ten of Pentacles. The Ten of Pentacles is Virgo energy, about doing this inner work within yourself to kind of heal and grow and mature yourself and stand up for yourself, make better decisions in your life, get out of more codependent energy, learn to love yourself, look at life from a higher perspective, and wanting to deal with the truth, because the truth is what gets us unstuck. I offer truth and love to it. I have my truth. Everybody has their truth. I'm going to get out of my ego about it. If other people want to live their life, whatever way they live their life, want to be in relationships with other people, apparently I can stay upset about it, or I believe in a higher truth and justice, that God does have a plan for my life. Or I can sit here and keep indulging myself, being defensive to moving forward in my life, or I go with the flow. It is what it is. Who knows what it'll be later, but it is the truth of what it is now. Am I going to stay stuck and give up on my dreams? My dreams aren't codependent on a certain person being in my life. My dreams are dependent on working together with other people who are on the same page as me at the same time. Those are the only people I can have my dream come into reality with. So I have hope and faith. I'm not the boss, is what the Emperor can talk about. We in our more worldly nature, no, it's I want it this way, God. Come on, this is what I want. Make it work. And like God loves us, and the Knight of Swords is about truth and justice and our dreams and love. They have free will. Well, I want it to work. I'm going to sit right here. Okay. And then, you know, God sits there like with us. Okay. We can sit here as long as you want. We can stay stuck as long as you want. Or you can start doing some work to accept the truth that, you know, you're not the boss. Other people have their free will. They've got their own fears, their own insecurities. They're more immature, self indulgent, worldly, whatever view of life. Or there was high vibe people who are in a relationship with someone else. Well, I don't give up my dreams. I work through the mental conflict of it, and I keep taking inspired action to work on the things and the people in my life that are all part of the dream. The most important thing might not be to be, if you're not in a relationship right now, to be in a relationship. Maybe this is a time for you to really invest in yourself, in your dreams, and your own unique talents, skills, and interests, and love yourself and believe in yourself to feel more inspired within yourself to believe in yourself and attract in other people into your life that are more on that page. But you are willing to get to the truth. And because you are willing to get to the truth, you closed out a cycle, because the truth sets us free. After the Ten of Pentacles, we get the Page of Pentacles. We detach from an old way of living life and viewing life, or feeling about ourselves, or jobs, or friendship, or relationship, because we completed the cycle. We learned what we needed to learn. We worked through something that we maybe previously weren't seeing the truth of. I had a way of living life and viewing life. Not everyone views life that way. And I have my dream, and I'm not willing to give up on my dream, so I'm inspired to move forward. And because of that, what you don't see coming is that you will detach, if you haven't already, from harnessing this energy in a more worldly, shadowy way, And when you do, that can be the last energy that kind of attached you to some other people in the world that you could have been aligned with to some degree because of that shadowy, more worldly, shadowy energy. And what some people don't know about you is you don't harness that in a more worldly, shadowy way anymore. You harness it in a more high vibrational way. The, the high priestess, the emperor, or no, the Hierophant, which is also Taurus energy, which again talks about our philosophy of life, the things that we used to make more important in our life, things we wanted to indulge in, things we wanted to manifest, like, oh my gosh, that's the dream and that'll make me happy. And you've kind of seen there's so many other things also that you could invest your time, energy, and effort into that, and loving and believing in yourself and freeing yourself from things that manipulate you. That's true abundance. And you've kind of detached from a way of viewing yourself, viewing the world, viewing relationships, um, and kind of maybe conforming more to the world and being more independent to live your more authentic life, and maybe standing up for yourself and believing in yourself. And I think as you do that, I think there's going to be other people in the world who see that you're very stable and grounded and loving and intuitive and inspiring. And there's going to be other people in the world who are inspired by that too. And then there's going to be other people that are going to be inspired by the other people because that's their truth. You know, we're all at different places at different times. And in high vibe Hierophant is taking action in your life, again, listening to love and intuition to guide you. And high vibe energy is being balanced within yourself. I have some of these things of the world that I want. I also have am aligned with truth and love and working with people in my life who are loving and encouraging and supportive. And I'm not willing to sacrifice those things to be more about having these things of the world. Like, when is enough enough? And for some people, just like some people, what they could indulge in that's really important to them, just like some people invest in drugs and alcohol thinking, man, I'm living the dream, or I'm an immature player. Look at me, I'm living the dream, male or female. Um, some people, it's the ego and the image and the money, and just like, or being about themselves. And it has to be more about them. Just like people can become addicted to drugs and alcohol, people can make those things of the world and their status and their ego and their image, and has to be more about them, is like an addiction, you know? And other people are more balanced. I don't need it to be all about me. I don't need it to have all the money and the status and the ego and the image or the power. When is enough enough? And for some people, enough is never enough. I need more. And also, High Vibe Hierophant is being a spiritual leader in the world and aligned with that higher truth and justice. That there is a higher truth and justice. There are rules to this game of life. There is karma. And some of the shadowy people think, no, I can do what I want so long as I have a certain status and image in the world, and maybe people don't know. Some of those people could be experiencing like a tower moment right now. Because as they keep trying to do life and defending their philosophy of life, and they keep trying to tell people in their life, you should align with me, you should invest in me, you should follow me. I am like the pillar of society or something. Um, just by other people living their authentic truth, kind of people listen to their intuition. Who do I think is more about themselves, more defensive, more ego focused, more image focused, more indulgence, materialistic focused, and who seems to be the people who, aren't operating from ego, are just going about living their life, aren't mad, aren't defensive, aren't jealous, aren't envious, aren't trying to manipulate or control people and have a certain status image. They're just living their damn life and enjoying their life. Let the world judge away. And other people, you know, everybody has their truth. The people who are more aligned with the people who are more just and fair and authentic and loving, that's their truth. They'll align with those people. And the people who that's not their truth are going to align and defend the other viewpoint, right? And then that's anywhere on the spectrum in between. What's coming up? And again, you might leave a certain job, friendship, or relationship because that's what the Hierophant can represent. But maybe it used to be a big deal to you to uh, look to other people to love and nurture you. That's not the foundation you operate from anymore. You're taking over that role within yourself. Do you like loving and supportive, encouraging people in your life? Yes, but you're not codependent because you've learned how to be like a good mother, father, coach voice to yourself. And you might, if before being married was a big deal, uh, you're not as caught up in it as you used to be, and maybe don't even know if you'd want to get married. You know, certainly if there's not people around in your life, and they're, I'm going to wait until I find the people who do seem to be more on the same page, because the people in my environment, no, they are not on the same page. So I'm going to invest in other things in the meantime. Okay, what's coming up for the more worldly, shadowy Capricorn energy of the world that they don't see coming? The Two of Wands, the Star card, and the Strength card. Why? Because of the Four of Wands and the King of Cups. So, if we're not being in high vibe, if we're not inspired to believe in ourselves and temper our ego nature, where our foundation is inspired to take action from love, we're kind of operating more from our ego and more about ourself and our ego and our image and our status, and we're wearing a false mask. And that's what some of the shadowy people are doing right now. They have this way of viewing life and living life. That is their idea of the dream life, which can be, I don't want to step out of my comfort zone. I don't want to have to temper my ego or learn lessons. I think people should want to be in a relationship with me just the way I am. Maybe a little full of themselves. But they might be people who present themselves as these loving, nurturing people that people should want to be in friendship and relationship with. Well, they didn't take inspired action in truth and love. They let go of that. And instead, they decided to invest in repeating this pattern again. So going to get a new job, new friend, new relationship, whatever the case is, which they could have been in for a while now. Um, and they're expecting their dreams to come into reality. Well, it might if they're in a relationship with someone who harnesses these energies the same way they do. Then that would be a just and fair relationship. They're both more motivated by the world, or not being more authentically loving and more about presenting this image in the world and being in a relationship, maybe to be in the relationship for the status or the ego and image. Look how victorious and successful we are. But I think at some future point in time, if nobody's being more authentically motivated and inspired by truth and love, then we have two people who are not in the relationship for that reason. And that's not a very, we all like to be in relationships with people who are loving, authentically loving and encouraging and supportive. That's the energy that we thrive in. But the people they defend and align with in shadowy Queen of Cups can be that they're more superficial and shallow. but that could be their comfort zone, so they want to stay in it. But it kind of, it can just be that people in their life see the truth. You are more superficial and shallow. You are more about yourself or the ego or the image, or being defensive or full of yourself or codependent. But other people, the Tower card talks about revealing the truth that of the foundation that people operate from, what their truth is of emotionally what they're more invested in. And then other people might be like, yeah, I don't want to really hang around you because that's not my truth. And, and the people then who are more willing to hang around them and be in friendships and relationships with them, or maybe other people, like how wonderful our life is. And oh my goodness. And, you know, it's all just superficial and shallow. But that's fine. We want people, we would rather have them in relationships with people who are like themselves than trying to manipulate someone who they know that's not their truth and trying to like trap that person in a relationship, because that's what some shadowy people do. I'm hoping they're not going to listen to their intuition. I can get them to move forward in the relationship with me. And if at some future point in time they see the truth, I'm hoping, because we all in our more worldly nature can be tempted by, well, this does have status and ego and image and stability and security, and maybe I should just stay in the denial of the truth and just keep moving forward in it. But for high vibe people, it causes them so much mental conflict, and their dream isn't coming into reality. This is not the dream I had for my life. This might be the dream you had for your life. And if they get more high vibrational people to get in a relationship with them, what they don't see coming is those people are going to leave their life. And if it's not the person they're in a relationship with, because the people that they're in a relationship with are like, view life the way they view it, there could just be people in their life that maybe they've known from childhood or in their family. Maybe those people had wanted to stay in denial of the truth of who they are. And it's like, I see that you're more, and that's fine, but we can have brothers and sisters and adult children and parents and friends and family members and ex relationship partners who they're just more about living the way they want to live it, which is their idea of the dream life. And we're like, yeah, no more denial. I think, I could view it as immature. They could view me as immature. Who really cares? And with some of those people, we can get along with them just fine. Do we want to hang out with them more? No. Uh, but if was somebody we were in a relationship with, or we're thinking of being in a relationship with, yeah, no, because we did kind of see the truth. Other people still might not see the truth. Maybe one day they'll see the truth and maybe they won't. All we have to know is, I know that wasn't my truth. So I'm moving on and getting out of my ego about that and letting them live their life whatever way they want to live it. And again, believing that, you know, the seeds that we kind of plant, why we do the things we do, is going to affect the outcome of what we have. Can people have a lot of status and image and power and influence in the world? Yeah, but really, if it's not based on love, like that Bible verse, it's like a resounding gong, you know? And that's why high vibe people couldn't stay in it. It's not based on a foundation of truth and love. I cannot exist in this environment. I need to leave. And the people who can exist in it and they're okay with it, let them do it. So there you go, Capricorn. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.